Welcome to a very special episode of our podcast BSA. You're now with me, Cheryl. And of course, this special episode features you in conjunction with Rainforest World Music Festival. Now today, we're diving into a very, very interesting topic, a conversation that sits at the heart of innovation, leadership, and of course, nation building. Joining us are two esteemed leaders for today, the CEO of SDEC, Dato' Sudarnato Osman, and of course, CEO of TERAJU, Junadi Nawaz. Bringing us today, let's start with some context and background. Now, first we'll start off with Mr. Junadi. Now, tell us more about your journey. I know you have more than, I think, over 20 years of experience, in the game. So let us know your journey and how you came to lead TERAJU.
Okay, thank you. Such an interesting question to start off the night. I would say by now I would have more than 27 more years of experience.
Yes.
I started off in the very tedious arena of accountancy and audit. Then I moved into banking. Then I moved into corporate. And then I moved into banking back to banking. And then about in 2014, 2015, I had an offer to join TERAJU the first time. To be able to apply what I had gained in terms of experience and knowledge from my previous chapter, to be able to apply it from the government agency perspective and be able to give back to the community and to the rakyat. That was the option. That was what enticed me most about joining agency like TERAJU. So I've been in TERAJU more than 10 years in total, but I did have the benefit of going out for a while, keluar sekejap, right, in 2021 to another agency that was involved in the creative sector, right, and then came back to TERAJU as the CEO in September 2023. And it's been an honor and a pleasure at the same time to be able to lead this agency, and it's a very noble mandate and noble objective that is carried by TERAJU.
You see, you've gone through to finance, to banking, to the creative sector. I mean, what's the most fulfilling part of your journey? I mean, this time around for this year and looking ahead, we know that, in Malaysia as a whole, the nation as a whole, has a lot of talents, out there. What do you see? What's the biggest pleasure that you have being the CEO of TERAJU?
Well, being with TERAJU, the biggest pleasure is be able to engage with a whole variety of people. I could find myself dealing and engaging with a farmer one day and giving a presentation to companies that are going for listing on the stock market the next day. So that's the kind of variety that I face day to day, being as head of TERAJU, being part of the TERAJU family. And that's part of the challenge and excitement at the same time.
I see. The next exciting journey. And we're going to dive on more into that as well, being the farmers. And we're going to dive there definitely in the future segments that we have. Now, how about you, Dato'? I mean, definitely Dato' is a very familiar scene in Sarawak and Borneo as well. And we're talking about, BSA as a whole today, right in Kuching as well. And of course, Dato', what led you to SDEC as well, and being in the helm of digitalization, innovation? Share us a little bit on your personal journey with SDEC.
As you know, I'm an engineer by background. Basically, most of the CEO of an organization, a lot of them are basically coming from the business sides of things. But then again, now I think engineers are making what I call much inroads into become the top of most of the organization by having both by having the what they call maximizing on that they call the technical skill sets, then and enhancing the business acumen. So I think my journey started in 1993 when I was once I graduated from the universities. Well, as an engineer, and I'm very much into research. So the first company I worked was actually in a research company, the first research company, Sendirian Berhad in Malaysia, which is designing and producing air conditioning. So that was my first work. But then again, then I eventually moved into mobility when I went back to Sarawak. And that's where I worked with Salcom, Maxis, and eventually I was appointed as the CEO of Sakofa back in in 2013. But then again in 2020, after 7 years harming Sakofa, well, of course, I'm still enjoying my life in Sakofa back then. I was called upon by the government to start Sarawak Digital Economy. So yeah, and even you know what happened in 2020, right? It's actually
Yes.
COVID. It's
COVID.
a mix of COVID. So when everybody work from home, I have to work
Was
from
you the
my office.
busiest?
So basically, I'm become the first employee of SDEC until now. Yeah. So that's what happens to me, and I think 5 years down the road, so where we are now. So talking about of course I'll be sharing what are my experience for the last 5 years. That's when I was helming SDEC.
I see. And then it's, how the tables turn. That actually, like most of the world, in COVID, I mean, for me, myself, as a media practitioner, this is where we're the busiest. And also, you're part of that journey as well. I mean, coming for, being the pioneer, I mean, the first employee and the first, starting point and turning point for SDEC. How do you see it over the road? I mean, now we're past the pandemic already. Are people still, pushing towards digitalization, the blueprint? I mean, what's the most progress that you could see over the 5 years in SDEC?
I think pandemic really teach us that digitalization is a must in every part of our life, right? So because things, when these kind of things happens where you cannot have a face-to-face, I mean, what you call actual meeting, then you have to move into online. Now, a lot more, if you see during COVID period, everything is online. But then again, online, we know that before COVID, everything is face-to-face. I mean,
Yeah.
face-to-face meaning to say human, there's a lot of human touch there. But then again, 1.5 years when we were in COVID, probably 2, and then some of the company until 3 years, they're still practicing full online working from home
Yes.
kind of thing, kind of mechanism. We get tired as well, because then now what we see after COVID, I can see that it's a combination of both. There's a physical interaction and also online interaction. So now become more hybrid the way we do things nowadays. I think that's the difference that I can see now, how we have actually innovate ourselves from being purely physical to purely online. Now we're saying that the hybrid is the way is the best way moving forward.
And do you agree to that?
Yes,
Right, yes, that's definitely hybrid is the way forward. And with all the disruptions going in, with I think we're now into the IR 5.0, we're going there actually, and with AI and for Sarawak itself having its own artificial intelligence center, it means something and very meaningful for each and every one of us. Now, moving forward as well, we're talking about Borneo Startup Accelerator. Back to that topic. Now we're here at the Rainforest World Music Festival. I think we can see a lot of young and local entrepreneurs around here and there. This is evident that everything and the ecosystem is working even with a cultural festival. So maybe what has actually motivated each and every one of your respective agencies to first support Bumiputra entrepreneurs? Maybe we can start with Encik Junadi.
Okay. Coming from TERAJU's experience, we ran a startup program before. It was known as the Super program.
Super.
Scheme Usahawan Permulaan Bumiputra, which which we initiated in 2014 and went all the way until 2021, the last cohort. But that was under the allocation under the 11th and 12th Malaysia Plan. Right? But since then, we have moved away from running the program per se, but we moved beyond it to work more on the follow-up items, the follow-up initiatives that's required to move the startup companies beyond that startup space.
Okay.
So we simply said we've been there and done it in the sense of creating them, but this is a case of we've seen them move 3, 4, 5 years ahead, and post-COVID as well. And here are the challenge is bigger now that we can see it, because we realize now that creating the startup is the easiest part of the game, but sustaining them
Correct.
and assisting them to be sustainable, that is the bigger challenge.
I see.
And we've seen the effects of COVID. Now, some of them, there were survivors, but those who survived, what we observed was the ones who were able to pivot quickly and more resilient in nature. And as a government agency, there's only so much that you can do to assist to bring them out of that predicament. So it rests a lot also on the resilience and the tenacity of the entrepreneurs to be able to survive that period.
You see, they always say startups, I don't know if you could agree with me, they're always the darlings of the modern economy. They are ready with disruptions, and they're over glamorized in, all over the world. However, in Malaysia, I think there's a record from SSM that shows that maybe 80% of Bumiputra fails in the first 3 years. I mean, is that something that, with your experience as TERAJU, creating them is something very important, and also supporting them is important. Sometimes for startups, it can be an overwhelming process. It's not only for the startup itself. Sometimes they fork up savings on their own, and also for the supporters. I mean, from both of your ends. I've been pretty sure it's one day. But what would you say is, in light of this, how do you push forward, in sustaining them to maybe change that statistic a little bit?
Okay, if we are to go back to the basic and the fundamentals, it's all about the day-to-day engagements, the advice, because like you said, it's very relatable observation. 80% of startups fail to make it past the first 3 years, right? So that is a reasonable ratio to start with, and there's not much that we can do about it. But given that, it's what we can do with the ones who actually go forward, the ones who actually survive.
Right.
And one thing I have to say about this segment, the startups, they are younger, generally younger, right? Younger. Perhaps, I don't know. I hope that does not reveal the age group of me and Dato', right?
We are still young.
We are still young.
Age is just a number.
It's just a number. But we come from the generation where we are able to assist and give them the advice in terms of direction. Because these people, they are, I think, entrepreneurs by nature, so they can pivot themselves. So it's all about trial and error. It's not about just finding that one project or business and make or break it, but it's about being able to, okay, if this doesn't work, what can I move to next? What's my plan B? What's my plan C? And so on and so forth. So this is my observation of this generation of entrepreneurs. They always have got alternatives that they're constantly thinking about and how to move or jump or pivot, as we call it, right? So that's what's interesting. And these are the ones that, how I would say, as the high performing ones and high potential ones, and these are the ones that we can help further to be able to move.
I see.
But I think it's a cycle also. Those who had failed, like I said, doesn't mean they stop there.
Correct.
They will find a way to bounce back. And they'll come back with something new, something different. And that's it all the more. So this is like an never-ending cycle. That's the interesting bit.
It's very interesting, how this never-ending cycle, they pivot, it's always the push-pull effect. When they fall, maybe they come up with something new, and that's the beauty of startups actually, it's always an idea, and this idea doesn't fail, it goes to the next one. So it's something very motivational actually for those. So perhaps we can change that number in the next, 5 to 10 years, hopefully. How about yourself, Dato'? What spurred you to the motivation, to, especially in Sarawak here, as you know, the younger generation might be a little bit different, as we can see here, maybe. And, what motivates you to support all these Bumiputra startups?
Okay. Well, I think it's following our blueprint as well. Right? Our blueprint, we are not focused about sustainability and don't forget about inclusivity. So the inclusivity portion that is very important to us as well. So when you talk about digital economy, when you talk about capability of people who are going into digital economy, we are not too worried about people in the urban areas because they have all the infrastructure, where they have all the state-of-the-art technology, then they are exposed to all this information. I mean, they are accessible to all this information that is on the net, right? So they are the one that actually will enjoy the digital economy. But the problem is that we worry about people in rural areas. But who make up the people in the rural areas? And most of them are Bumiputras. And you can't deny that these are the areas that we actually must make sure that we help them a lot, so that they will not be be left behind when it comes to participating in the digital economy of Sarawak. So that is the reason why, one of the biggest motivation why SDEC has this program, just purely focusing on Bumi Putra themselves, right? So, but then in the rural areas, the activities, the economic activities they're doing, right? It's very unique in many sense, especially Sarawak for that matter, right? So yeah, in areas where they are into agriculture, we try to move them into agritech. And then we introduce them digital tamu, and then people who are entrepreneur, we are trying to move them into become a digital entrepreneur. With hardwares and softwares and so forth, right?
Correct.
And then, of course, people who are into, then again, they are in rural areas that they're just focusing on their culture. This is culture is something that we want to preserve as well. And this is where we talk about food, and this is where we talk about music and arts. So these are the 4 focus areas when you talk about the BASA that SDEC and TERAJU are working on. So like today, if you look at why we are here today at the Rainforest event, is basically our track 3 and track 4, where they involve a lot of arts and cultural activities, and it's rhyme well with what we are trying to do. We're here in the Rainforest Festival today, and we are supporting, in actual fact, some of our our vendors that we are grooming at the moment. I think on your remarks about failures and all these things, we know very well that if you run a program, and as you know, the BASA it's not a short-term program. It's actually a long-term program, and it's actually built. It's conducted over 5 years.
Yeah.
So we hope the 3 years failure that you're looking at will certainly be 0. Yeah.
Would you categorize that into tier? That how do you measure the success of these startups? How does it? Is it measured in BSA usually?
Yeah. In our case, we have 4 categories, right? And being measured by our partners. We assign partners that actually look into this. We have site that is actually looking into track 1, track 2, we call it. And then we have Tuyang that is looking into track 3 and track 4. Basically, for the first initial years, it's mostly programs, like we run programs, educational programs, entrepreneurial programs, and how to make their design better, and then actually looking at market access and so forth. So I think it's more about hand-holding their program, right? They have to participate in workshop and so forth. So it's quite easy because you measure them by how often they come, by the participation in all these workshops and so forth. But eventually, what we want to see is that how's the business grow. So for the next 3 years, after they've completed all these programs and workshops, we are monitoring the revenue stream, how much they make out of it, how many companies actually has been formed. Some of them, they have their own company when they join this program itself, but some of them they probably don't have. So we have to work towards that as well. And then also, we look into what are the new markets they have been moving to. So all these are the monitoring that we put through, that we have, of course, working committees that's actually looking into all this progress as well. And from time to time, SDEC has to report. And most important thing is that one of the key KPIs in our BASA program is actually to uplift them from B40 to M40. So this is one of the major big KPIs that actually SDEC has to meet. So and of course, if they are able to uplift themselves, that is more than something that I feel that we have hit our target, or these are the things that we have achieved over the next.
Yes, and that is going to be a long-term thing. And then, to put from B40 to M40, that's truly a success for them to go out with that disparity. Amazing, actually. Okay, and how about you, Mr. Jen? How do you see? Coming also, maybe you can relate a little bit to the comments on this.
For this segment, whether it's startups or community-based enterprises, we go back to the basic of income, as Dato mentioned earlier, moving from B40 to M40. But the measure for us is the income level. So we do have to do a certain benchmarking as to what is the current level, the base case, and what is the reasonable target that can be achieved within the program period, for example, whether it's 3 years or 5 years. So we do have some extrapolation to be done. And all this is, again, it has to go back to the accuracy of the data gathering,
Yes.
data collection. So it's important that the participants also give us the feedback as to how we can improve, and are we meeting the objectives. Sometimes we've seen, how should I say, dropouts from certain programs due to various factors, whatever reason it may
What
be.
is the main factor usually?
Family, sometimes location, because they have to go, let's say for example, like the programs that we've done in Sarawak, they have to relocate from their locality.
And relocation is cost.
Over a certain time, it could have an effect. So that's one of the factors. And a lot of it is, of course, human factors, I would say. Human factors. It's mainly family that's caused them. But we will, the program still moves on. And we do tracking quarterly in terms of, this is where the partnership model that TERAJU applies. So say, for example, in this program with SDEC, so we rely a lot on SDEC because SDEC would have the stronger on-ground outreach, so which TERAJU does not have. So this is where we apply this model. We partner with agencies such as SDEC, and then be able to extract the data as much as possible. But then after that, once we have obtained it, we go back and do the analytics and see what we can come up with. Okay, how we can improve. So it's again an ongoing work stream, an ongoing challenge. And it's not just about setting the template in place and that's going to work for the next year or something. So you got to look at it on a monthly basis and therefore on a quarterly basis. And then for the next cohort, it has to be improvised as well.
For BSA, I mean, each cohort, how many usually, from the applications being sent, and how is the percentage of, or out of the applications sent, or from the Accelerator program, those who actually get it?
I think that'd be...
Yeah, I think we have certain targets that we need to achieve. If I'm not mistaken, I don't have the right number with me today. I think for track 1 and track 2, I think we are talking about at least about 30 to 50 participants. And then we are track 3 and track 4 because of the logistically challenging areas that we are working on. Because track 3 and track 4 focus on a lot on central region and the northern region. Track 1 and track 2, we focus a lot on the southern region. Southern region of Sarawak, I would say, not the Peninsula Malaysia. So when that's the reason why our target for track 1, track 3, track 4, if I'm not mistaken, is around 30, if I'm not mistaken. But normally when we target 30, we don't take 30. We take a little bit more because of the dropout that Junaidi was mentioning just now. So these are the things that we have to be aware for. Because sometimes even like for track 3, track 4, the most difficult part that we are facing in the moment is one, logistics. Because some of them are based in Baklalan, some of them in Ulu Baram and all these places.
And that's far.
That's very, very far. So you just imagine when we want to run the workshop, we have to bring them down, all the way down to Sarawak and so forth. I mean, to Miri, so that we can conduct all these kind of programs. So I think, and also the other thing is that it's age factor. So as you go in all these remote places, right? A lot of them are actually older generations or that. But then again, the culture stays is actually with them. They are the one that actually doing all these things. They are the musician. They are also the craft masters. And the thing is that how we want to make sure that all these arts and culture does not go when So this is the reason why one of these programs is actually to maintain, to ensure the sustainability of our culture. At the same time, of course, we have to make do with what we have now, which is actually the age, participants. But eventually what we're trying to see is that if their business is booming and if they can see that, if their parents, with the one that's currently doing it, can improve their income level, right? Then the younger generation sees that this is another opportunity that they can jump in and help help their parents to continue the legacy of what they're doing.
Yes.
Yeah, because this is the thing that we see. At the same time, we're improving their income. Number 2, we ensure that it's a generation taking over the business itself. right? Because when it comes to culture, it's very difficult to make sure other people
To sustain
or other races to want to be in part of the culture itself. It's totally different, right? Let's say imagine Chinese trying to do Kenya thingy. It doesn't work that way, right? You need the Kenya community themselves to be the one that is involved in that sense. So the other one, the thing is, so we have preserved the culture itself. So these are the three things that we can actually, what they call three birds kill three birds with one stone. This is the other thing that we are targeting for.
The preservation of culture, heritage, and especially I think in Borneo, Sarawak, there's a lot of ethnicities. I mean, more than 24 actually.
Correct.
A lot more sub-ethnicities after that. And it's important as well. And that's why touching on, on the ground with all this being said, apart from the preservation as well, how is the collaboration? I mean, if we can touch on the collaboration between TERAJU and also SDEC, with that being said, aligns with the nation's, agenda as well, the national agenda, and also its digital economy footprint moving forward. I mean, to preserve, it's not easy. It's a match of both, and then you're touching down on a lot of the older generation and the younger generation working together. How does that work? The collaboration works.
If I can say that Dato mentioned intergenerational sustainability. That's what we can see, because it's not just about, we use the word sustainability, being sustainable, very casually without really understanding the true meaning of it.
Yes,
right?
agree.
But with our experience at government agency, for TERAJU being at federal, we use the experiences that we have done and at federal level in Peninsular Malaysia. Now we're bringing it to Sarawak, right? And they'll be able to help agencies such as SDEC to be able to carry it out based on sharing the experience, sharing the knowledge as well. And like I said, the sustainability issue cuts beyond the generations. It's not just about the current founder or entrepreneur, but making sure that whatever has been started by that generation, that person, can flow down to the next and make it attractive enough for the next generation to want to continue it. So this is true in the sense that, why can't we bring the digitalization to the kampung, right? So make it attractive enough so that this minimize the migration of the next generation from the non-urban areas to the urban areas. So if we can do this, with digitalization, it's basically can be anywhere. It can be from anywhere, it can be at anywhere. So that is the way that we see it. And we talk about the roadmaps and not to mention also the blueprints. At national level, federal level, we do have the national plans, the Rancangan Malaysia. Before this, since I started at TERAJU, it's been the 11th and 12th, and now we're working towards the 13th Malaysia plan. Looking forward to that, right? And also anchored upon for the Bumiputra community, Bumiputra economic space is the Bumiputra Economic Transformation Plan of 2035 or Putra 35. And for Sarawak, we also anchor on the post-COVID development strategy of Sarawak 2030. PCDS 2030. So these are the two roadmaps or blueprints that we anchor upon, and when we want to plan and design programs.
So for PCDF, TERAJU and also SDEC, they have Putra, and then you also have PCDS 2030 as well in the pipeline, and already they're actually at the footprint. Maybe you should also, Mr. Junadi, you mentioned, I think earlier at the beginning, that you have the experience to come down, to see local farmers on its own from a vast number of industries. What do you see, or any success stories that you could share, from local farmers and being a very successful participant of BSA, for example, or even, changing and breaking the mindset of this intergenerational collaboration that actually both have?
Okay, I did mention earlier that what we are doing now, like for example, the one we're doing the BSA, we're doing the SDEC, is part of the program called Dana Pembangunan Usahawan Bumiputra, DPUB. So this was from the allocation under the 12th Malaysia Plan. And like I mentioned earlier, what's exciting about being in an agency at TERAJU is that I can find myself engaging with farmers doing gula apong or madu kelulut in one day. For example, yesterday, just to share my experience, me and my team, we were out in Mukah to engage with local community that worked on madu kelulut. And there was another team that was in Bakalan yesterday. They spent overnight in a long house. It's part of the experience. That's
Part of it.
another program. So and we can see that how should I say, the desire from these local communities, because it has to come from them. You know, you can see you can take the horse to the water, but you can make the horse drink the water, right? So it has to come from them. So we have to identify that desire and be able to mobilize it for the, how should I say, the betterment of the society, because we want to uplift them. I said, I had to mention earlier, we want to move them from the B40 space
It's
to
the
the
income
next
gap.
level, right? Even if it's not the current generation, but at least it's being prepared for the benefit of the next generation.
Now, how about yourself, Jacho? Any success stories, or maybe earlier you mentioned there's a lot of new industries or new markets that we can actually push into. As we know that the startup market is very big, it's glamorized. Although albeit with its many young bloods are out there. They want to do something. Definitely, they are coming up with new innovations, ideas. Any notable ones or potential ones that we can see from your time, your collaboration in BSA?
Okay, I think let me start with the collaboration that we have with TERAJU. I think that's very important to see that what TERAJU and us have been doing is actually TERAJU have its what we call a program that is trying to focus on Bumiputra, and that is where they're talking about Usahawan Bumiputra. How can we uplift that? And as far as SDEC is concerned, we have this inclusivity program under digitalization, and then we are more closer to the ground, and we want to see that's happening as well, because the inclusivity, when we want to uplift the way they do things, we need to change how they do things in actual fact, and in all from how they do currently. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done as well. And these things are very, very important. And this is where we both complement each other. They come up with the funding, we come up with the, we complement in terms of ensuring the proper implementation is on the ground. Because sometimes when we plan something, it doesn't really work at what we plan, right? There is always deviation from the original plan and all these things.
Always.
This is where SDEC will come in to make sure that we will go back to track. And then to make sure that SDEC is always on track. So these are the things, we always complement each other in that sense. So we are monitoring each other. They monitor us, we monitor the and we ensure the result which is actually reported to them, and ensure that because for us, success will breed success. I mean, we'll breed more, right? We'll breed more success in the future. And this is something that we always believe in. And what we see is in terms of the outcome of this company, I mean the success story. I think for the last few years, we have seen a lot of companies actually has grown, especially when people are moving to when they embrace digitalization, the market access is actually getting bigger. They're just not selling purely for their own purely market, right? When they are now available, when they can actually be on board, when the product can be on board on some of the e-commerce platform like Shopee, Lazada, and so forth. In actual fact, the market is not just purely the kampung. It's actually the whole Malaysia and beyond. So these are the things that we see the difference, right? So we can see some of the companies actually has gone beyond a normal purely 1,000, 2,000 ringgit, and actually they have increased more than their revenue. And some of them, their revenue or their income stream has improved 30%, and some of them even 100% more. That's some of the things. But to be honest, we also have lower than that as well. These are the people that we are trying to focus during our monitoring period. So as you know, by bringing digitalization to what they're doing, it's improved not only in terms of market access, but in terms of the outlook of their product as well. So, by providing design tools and so forth, right?
Yes.
Now they can put the product in a very nice box and all these things and make more appealing to a bigger market, right? And what we're hoping is that by having this kind of nice packaging and so forth, it I believe the value of the product itself. Because one of the things we see is that the production of this product itself are also very limited, because sometimes it's still very much manually done, right? And of course, we're also trying to use add that
Automation.
automation into the picture. But of course, it's not that when you talk about some of this industry, what they call off-the-shelf automation doesn't happen. So you need the universities to come into play to build this kind of system as well. But what I'm trying to say is this. You know that your production is very, very minimal. But then again, how do you package it to make it become more premium? So this is another area that we have to look at, right? So you take the analogy of Ferrari, right? They don't build thousands like what Toyota builds, but they sell the price of the product itself is totally different, right? Comparative to a normal Toyota car. So this is how we want to position some of the product itself, and of course by adding more new more younger generation design, for example, by mixing, for example, normal woven product together with with some jean straps to make it more more acceptable by the new gen, right? So these are some of the changes that we are also making our participants to change the design. Not just purely woven, rotan woven product, but actually with more better outlook that is even the younger generation wanted to use it.
Right. I've seen actually a lot of the woven bags and the crafts that they have, a lot of the younger generation, they actually put a very interesting platform where they source out to all the viewers, and also they put in a lot of nice funky designs like zips, names, customized bags, sling, and some of them, it's being brought. And then I think recently there's a news that Songket Sarawak, I think it's being brought to the Cannes Festival. So a lot of these designs are being incorporated and also put on the big stage. And it's a big ecosystem that can be brought, to bring traders, together with all those weavers together. Very interesting. And for startups, I think if you talk about Bumiputera startups, there can be a lot of them and they have a lot of idea. Now, with all this being said and all this burst of energy that we have here, especially for BSA, with the collaboration that TERAJU and SDEC has, and two CEOs here sitting with me, this is a very big idea coming through. What's next, or what's new for both agencies, perhaps?
What's new? Okay.
What's next?
Before I go on to that, can I just touch a little bit on what Dato mentioned earlier? Because what digitalization has brought to these Bumiputera startup companies is the visibility and the connectivity to the world outside that they may not be aware of. Being able to place their products onto a platform, a digital platform, rather than a physical platform, a table, which could be limited in capacity.
Yes.
But this is, how should I say, infinite in terms of capacity to be able to place it and market it. So that will eventually create the demand for the products. Right? And moving on for TERAJU, our focus is on certain segments within each sector. Let's say within the startup segment, we'll focus, like I mentioned earlier, the high growth, high performing ones.
Yes.
And we're sector agnostic. It's not limited to any particular sector. It doesn't have to be tech. But what we look for, you mentioned the word innovation, and the ones with the innovation are the ones that we want to be able to support more, right? And we have the products to do so. Last year we announced some collaboration with banks, and we have a partnership with 10 banks at the moment, and counting. We'll have more in the pipeline, and we continuously will be identifying the gaps that still exist in the ecosystem. And because TERAJU as an agency, we do not have the mandate or license to actually do direct lending or direct funding, so we have to go through an intermediary. And on that note, we also have a partnership which is new. We have a partnership with registered market operators, RMO, for peer-to-peer financing. So, you can follow us on TERAJU Official, our social media.
That's a lot on the pipelines, and also more to
these are the new
explore.
things that we continuously look to explore and be able to come up with the solution for, right? And the program design. And we will be announcing some new products in the next month or so, pending some final approval from the ministry. Hopefully we'll get it soon. Right? And like I said, just keep following us on TERAJU Official, IG, FB and LinkedIn.
Best of luck also for that, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot more in store for the Bumiputera startups that we have here in the nation as well. And also, we have almost come come to the final touches of the podcast BSA today, maybe any final message from both, or maybe any words of collaboration,
Well, I
or
think-
what's next for
Yeah,
SDEC
SDEC,
as well?
yeah. I think SDEC, we believe in three things, right? I mean, we call it the AAU, we call it assess, adoption, and use cases. I think as we are in the midst, at the moment, SDEC is also one of the key areas that we are focusing on. Is actually improving the connectivity.
Yeah.
But connectivity is just a mean. For us, what are you going to do with it? You know, what are you going to use it for? And this is the reason why for us, working with this kind of program is what we call the adoption sides of things, and what are the use cases out of all this connectivity that we're doing. So that's why I say that's the ROI that we're looking at, you know, because for us, we know we built the highway. We don't really make money out of the highway that we're building, but where we are getting the money from is actually from the new businesses that they make by using our highway. So these are the things that what SDECs are looking forward to. Now, of course, the effort in terms of connectivity, accessibility is still on a it's going to be further continued because we only achieved 94%. So what is the other 6% is going to do? So that's why we have a project we call it the other 6%, the O6P. So the other 6%, what we're going to do with it? What kind of infrastructure we're going to build into it? So it might not be just towers and all this kind of thing. It might be a satellite, services as well, you know, so that we can continue providing access to even to the a singular longhouse deep in the jungle and all this kind of thing. So these are one of the things that we are looking at, yeah. And of course, just when we build all this infrastructure, there must be adoption that I'm talking about, right? What are they going to use for? Are they going to use it for e-learning, for the e-commerce and all the other things, right? And then of course the use cases, because when we talk about e-commerce and all things, you imagine someone selling someone from Bukalalan, then how are you going to bring the product back?
Bring it over, the mobility.
Yeah, so this is the reason why these are the new use cases that we're looking at. What about drones, transportation and everything, right? Transporting product for using drones. So these are the things that we are now in the midst of testing it out with partners, whether they are local partners, whether they are international partners, and then also the universities. The universities are playing a more important role now because we always tell them, don't do research for the sake of just doing research and doing papers, but do research that makes a lot of difference. The difference to the people's life. You know, so that what you can do when we're trying to do is that trying to bring research, translate it to what I call commercialization, and that's help people along the way. So these are the key areas that SDEC really want to focus on a lot. And we believe, of course, we're talking about uplifting our research capability as well. We are not just focusing on our local universities as well, but what we're trying to see is that how we can team them up with better universities, like big universities like University of Melbourne, University of Singapore, University of NUS, and the likes of University Malaya for that matter. So we are always trying to team them up with big universities so that the research quality that they're doing is of higher output and usability, higher usability. So these are the things that SDEC is looking for moving forward. And of course, the startup ecosystem as well. I think this is also very key because we believe that startup ecosystem, if we groom them well, if we guide them well, it's going to be, it will make it happen, right? That's the reason why most of the startups, we know very well, most of them are tech background. But tech people normally bet business maker, business decision maker, right? So that's why we're also trying to see a formula where, when you are a tech guy, we will try to match you with a business acumen students or some people. So that, there's a matchmaking kind of situation so that the startup become more holistic, right? And not only just purely on the technical side, but also on the business side of things. So that they're more resilient to overcome that death of valley. The 3 years that you're looking at, they will call it the death of valley, so that they can overcome all these things. So these are the things that we are looking at. Hopefully, they're going to be unicorns or unicorns coming out from Sarawak. That's what we aim for, because by then again, building them up is not good enough. We have to make sure the market access is also valuable for them.
Yes, okay, very well said as well. And also, this is actually a very interesting takeaway, a very good takeaway for startups out there who are also, getting there. And for those who have failed, doesn't mean that they won't succeed in that, because every failure, every no will turn to a yes. I mean, 10 no's will go to yes. We agree with that. And also for the startups, for the Bumiputera startups, over there. I think if they are feeling, most of them are, most I think are telling and expressing their feelings of being tired, going there, and investors are also getting tired together. So not fret, because I think this is a very good
Yeah.
motivation and takeaway as well. All right, thank you so much to Mr. Junadi and
Thank you
also
for
Dr.
having us.
Sudano too. Thank you so much for being with us on Podcast BSA, and
Thank
of course,
you.
till the next time.
Thank you very much.